Patience is essential. Self-doubt will hinder the progress. Surround yourself with like-minded people with similar goals. G'day and welcome back to the Make It With Myles podcast. I'm Myles Clark and we're here today for a different episode. This one is actually called The Journey. So we have two formats for the podcast. We've got The Shed and we've got The Journey. The Shed is where we discuss all things building, construction, real estate through the lens of a building inspector's eyes. And then The Journey is something personal for me, which is more about personal development and just throw a few gems out there every now and then. This one in particular is about goal setting for the average person, and I've put together a method which I call the Wiley Method, so you can't forget it. So sit back and relax and we will get through it piece by piece. So the first things first is the W, all right? It is what we want to achieve. So a goal is something you're sort of working towards. It might be a financial goal, it might be a physical goal, it might be relationship goals, whatever the goal may be. You need to have an end in mind of what that goal looks like and a very clear definition of what it actually is going to be. Don't stress too much about that little gray area in between now and that completion of the goal, because it's most likely going to change. So you clearly want to define that goal, have it written out and understand exactly what you're trying to execute, okay? Make it as big as you want or as small as you want, whatever it is, as long as it's clear and defined, that is super critical. The next step in the Wiley method is I, which is for intention, okay? So to achieve a goal, you need to have a clear intention as to why you are going forth to achieve that goal. Without any intention in place, without any drive, without any purpose, all those types of things, without that why behind what your actual reason is, it's gonna make life very difficult when you get through the process, that gray area, to actually push yourself to achieve that goal, because you're gonna come up with challenges throughout that process and it's gonna be shit and it's gonna be hard and there's gonna be a lot of effort associated with it. So you need to get very clear with your intention, okay? You wanna connect emotionally to that purpose, right? If you can make it more emotionally driven, let's say you've got health issues and you wanna lose a heap of weight, you can go, all right, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, to achieve my goal, I will die young, like shit like that, okay? There's a lot of things that people put in place. Maybe you just want to make a heap of money so you can just stick it to everyone around you. That's okay. It doesn't have to be good intentions or bad intentions, but as long as it's very strong and you have a lot of emotion behind it, it's super important. Like for me, for example, my intention for what I want to do is to just push hard, set a good example for my kids, so when they look up at me, they know that that man actually had a crack at life and sent it the best he could possibly be. So it's an easy drive for me, and that is something I use for everything I do across the board, from my relationships, fitness, finances, just these personal podcasts, things like that. It is super critical for me, okay? Now, the next step in the Wiley method is the L, and that's learning, all right? You want to be educating yourself on this specific topic as much as practical, okay? You just want to sit back and absorb as much information as you can possibly get. And that is going to be things like, reading books, listening to videos, listening to podcasts, speaking to people that have done the task at hand that you want to achieve, whatever that may be, just absorbing as much information as possible, okay? Because it's going to be very critical for taking the next step, which is going to be the execution phase, all right? Now, the execution phase is one of the most difficult parts, and the reason being is because you'll never get it right the first time, all right? Most successful people that do go on to achieve big goals, they sort of get to the end and they realize that the way in which they initially were going to execute their plan never really turned out the way they expected, and they pivoted and changed, but their intention was strong, their goal was in mind, and they just continued to execute. And the important part here is that you can have all these good intentions, you can have these hopes and have these dreams and have these inspiration boards and all this sort of shit and talk about how great all these things are going to be. But if you're not actively doing something to step you in the right direction, you'll never get there. So it's a complete waste of time. But with all that knowledge that you've got from learning and all educating yourself, you've put yourself in a position now where you can put a plan together. It's revision A though. It's a revision A of what you're going to do so you can get to your end destination, all right? Now, when revision A doesn't work, what we do is we do our last step here. And our last step is the why, which is the yearn, all right? We just keep chugging on and pushing through. Now, what you're going to do is you want to learn from all those failures that you've had throughout that execution phase. You want to keep continuing all those successes, and you just want to keep rolling it over, rolling it over, rolling it over. Your intention is key in those moments, because if you don't have that intention, that strong why and that belief and that emotional push behind you for why you're actually going out to achieve that goal, you'll just give up. It'll be too fucking hard. You'll just think it's not all worth it. I'm spending too much time. I could be doing other things. I'm going to change direction. I'm going to pivot and do something completely different. That is just what happens in those situations. So that's why your intention is critical. And it's okay to pivot and change your execution and your initial plan, as long as that end goal is the same, which ideally it will be, or you've made it even bigger. You just learn from those failures and keep pushing through, keep pushing through. And what you'll find you'll have incremental stages of success. Might have a couple of pegs back, but you'll just notice you'll take steps forwards, and you'll realize this because the goal that you have in place, say it's a fitness goal, it's going to be pretty obvious. You'll be losing weight. Financial goal, you'll be making money. Maybe it's relationship goals. You're actually finding you have better friendships, you're having better relationships, personal relationships. You've learned everything you possibly can about a male-female relationship and what works best, and you're like, all right, and you implement these things, and it actually turns out to work great, and it's fantastic. You will see the changes as you progress, okay? There will be times it's hard, but you just got to keep pushing on, keep pushing on. So to recap on the Wiley method, it's pretty simple. We got the W is what your actual goal is, all right? Be very clear on it. The I is your intention, your reason why you're doing it, okay? It needs, the more emotion in it, the better it's going to be. L is learning, educating yourself about the topic itself. Whatever you're trying to do, get people around it, podcasts, videos, all that sort of shit. Build a good knowledge base around it. E is the execution phase. Execute, all right? That is revision A, all right? And then the next is the Y, which leads on to it, which is the yearn. You just want to keep chewing through it, keep chewing through it, and that's the best thing you can possibly do. So some additional things to consider as you're going through these goal settings is patience is essential. Self-doubt will hinder the progress. Surround yourself with like-minded people with similar goals. A great example on this is fitness. Get someone that is training with you. You might be similar part of the journey, all right? And you can work off each other. You can feed off each other, all right? You might learn something over here and you implement it together, and you learn your failures. You understand that process and you work together. It's going to be much, much easier. You can always do it yourself. That's no dramas at all. But if you can get someone on your team, and this goes with business as well, you can get a good partner who has the same values, the same vision, the same drive. You may have complete different technical abilities. One might be a tech guy, one might be the salesman. But if you're heading on the same direction, you can just feed off each other and really punch out and get those goals just knocked out 100%. The other one is believe in your abilities, okay? That is crucial. Be confident in yourself. Actually have a crack. When people tell you that what you're doing is ridiculous or it's silly or you waste too much time or whatever it may be, that's okay. People are going to say those things. Just don't let it get to you. That's fine. You've got this one life on this fucking planet. You may as well spend it trying to do the greatest things you can possibly do. And if you are content with just being who you are in life, well, then that's fine as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you are someone that actually wants to push forward and be a better person and achieve better things, not just for you, but for the ones around you, fucking send it and actually just push back on everyone that doesn't care and just have a crack at it. And that's the whole part of this process. So if you are an average person and you're looking to just achieve some goals, the Wiley method is where it's at, all right? It's the what, the intention, learn, execute, and the yearn. Get your Wiley out, get it formed up, get your Wiley out, plan accordingly, execute, and go out and achieve some goals. Hope you enjoyed this episode of The Journey. We'll be back for another episode of The Shed next week. We'll learn more about the real estate industry and all good things like that. If you found any value in this, please like, subscribe, share, follow, all that sort of shit. And we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.